folks, and welcome back to the channel. It's going to be the last ride in the series which takes us up to 600 miles. We've already beaten that actually. I think we've got 612 on the clock at the moment, and at the moment we're just going to take, again, it's a wet and horrible day isn't it always, but we're riding up to Oakley Motorcycles in Maidstone in Kent. That's in England for you international guys. Yeah, it's going in for its first service, the 600 mile service, which is the one which effectively means it's pretty much running. If you read the manual, it suggests keeping a lower revs, I think below 5,000 RPM until 600 miles, and then you can keep it below 6,000 until 1,000 RPM. That's the only restrictions. I think that's probably one of the most ignored sections of the manual, but I've been kind of keeping to it, not totally. You'll probably see in some of the videos I'm revving it a little bit higher from time to time, not always with amazing results, it has to be said. What I mean by that is, one of the few niggles I've had with this bike in the first 600 miles has been some of the gear changes. Don't do it, Tusco man. So anyway, we'll talk a bit about that. I thought, whilst I'm just taking over, it's about half an hour's ride, something like that, maybe slightly longer, not much longer than that. Just have a little think about what we think about this bike. We've had it going on now for, well, we got it on the 30th of December, rode it home in horrible weather. I don't know if you've seen that video, that's the one that seems to get the most views that I've ever posted, to be honest. Ooh, what's he going through? Wet, horrible shit again. Of course it is. Alright, so back to the old school with the helmet set up. Got my my original helmet on, which doesn't have any of the extra wiring in, so you won't be hearing the cardo, you'll just be hearing me twittering at you. I have noticed that since we put that extra wiring in, for some reason it's made my audio just from my mic clip quite a lot, which is weird. You'd think it'd actually sort of dilute it a bit. I don't know anything about audio, so but it seems to be the standard way that everyone does it, so still playing with that. But yeah, I thought I'd just wear this one for a change, just so I could give you my thoughts on this bike with hopefully slightly better audio. We shall see. Yeah, so I've done 600 miles on the bike, so it's effectively like the running in period for it. Like I say, I got the bike on the 30th of December, we're on the 20th of February, so not quite 2 months, but about 2 months riding, albeit very spread out because it's just been horrible weather. I've had all the last week off, hardly ridden at all, purely because it's just rained every day. And the same this week. As soon as I did 600 miles, I parked this up and basically dragged my 125cc bike towards the back of the shed. Expected to do a bit of riding on that. It's not been out the shed, it's just been horrible rainy weather. So yeah, it is what it is really. What can you do? So thoughts on this bike, first 600 miles. Bike's been amazing, really enjoying it. It just feels lovely to ride. I just, when I started it up then and just took it off a drive, it just felt super nice. It was, you know, it's got a reasonable amount of power. It's, you know, it's not setting the world on fire by anybody's standards, but it's, you know, it's certainly good enough. Oh, why are we going this way? Oh well, I'm doing the Waze. So Waze is usually pretty good, to be honest. I don't know why it's taking me this way, but I'll trust it. I suppose Maidstone, you kind of cut cross country to it this way, so these roads aren't too bad. So we'll see what wonderful. Me and sat-navs these last few months since we've been riding these bikes. It's been a bit of a been a bit of a wild ride with some mental roads that they've given me. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, the bike's been good. I've enjoyed it. It's a good size. I was expecting it to feel small. It doesn't feel small at all to me. It just feels quite nice. I mean, there's some damp patches on this road today, but it is what it is. And I think the chain is getting towards its limit with regards to it just needing a retention. But obviously it's going in for a service, so I'll sort that out. And my torque wrench that I've got wasn't quite up to the job. It sort of peaked out at 60 newton meters, so I've ordered a slightly more beefy torque wrench, which just arrived actually just before I set off on this ride. So I'm kind of set up now for doing most, you know, routine maintenance tasks myself, which is a nice position to be in. Oh dear. Yeah, it flies up these hills. This is lovely. It does. It's got good manners, this bike. Certainly when you're sort of making a reasonable amount of progress. I think there's two niggles. I think I've got two niggles with this bike, and I might as well talk about them first, and then we can talk about all the things that I do like. So, first one is, yeah, it's probably a running in issue to be honest, but I've had a few issues with gear changes. Certainly when I'm sort of trying to overtake and just go that little bit faster. You know, just trying to give it a little bit of poke to get around someone. It'll quite often go first, second, no you're not having third, or it'll go first, second, you're having third, nice one, oh you're not having fourth though mate, and then you kind of, it feels like you're hitting a brick wall. It just doesn't, you know, you're not going to that next power point, which is it's not ideal really, mate. But again, you know, I don't know, I've got urban myths I'm aware of, you know, sort of, I'm aware, well, I say I'm aware of, I don't know how true they are, that's the point. So I know that it's been said that you get, they put a slightly more viscous oil in it for the first 600 miles. Well, that's true or not, and what the point of that would be, I don't know. I'm sure your engineers out there could probably tell me a bit about that, whether that's true or not. It's been winter, so slightly more viscous oil, cold temperatures, who knows, that might just be that could be a factor, couldn't it? Although I would have thought once it's warmed up, that's maybe less so, who knows. Anyway, that's one thing, but anyway, without knowing too much about it, I do know I've had a few issues, is basically it. Alright, nothing that way, let's go straight over. Here's a stop, that one, and for good reason. It's a dodgy old corner, junction even. Yeah, I can hear if you hear me pause and I'm listening to instructions on the sat nav, this thing, let's say it's not wired into the cardos, so you won't hear them, which may be a blessing. It may be a blessing, who knows. Yeah, so dodgy gear change. I was going to speak to him a little bit about that, and but you know, it's only done 600 miles this bike, so you know, sometimes these things take a little bit of time to bed in and just loosen up a little bit and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not unduly concerned, but it's certainly been a factor at times. Yeah, the other issue I've had with this bike, it's not an issue, I think it's just the way some bikes are made these days, is the way this bike fuels at sort of low power, low speed. It's quite snatchy. I've heard other people say it. I always kind of thought, what does that mean? But when you're riding it, you certainly notice it. It's, you know, certainly if you've got my riding style, say I've come from a history of inline fours, and they don't make power until you're sort of hitting the higher speeds really, so they're very docile around town. You can kind of sit up, stretch your back, one-handed, stick a hand on your knee. Alright, it's probably not the wisest thing to do, but that's kind of my riding style. Certainly around town, that's when I sort of relax, reset me back, being an old person, and all that sort of good stuff. And yeah, you try and do it on this, and then suddenly it's like hitting a power band. And it comes on without warning, really. It's not like you're revving it hard or anything like that. Suddenly it'll just go, right, we're going, and it just shoots off. Now let's just say when you're sort of stretching your back out and you're one-handed, it's not the coolest look when you're flailing your left arm around trying to grab your handlebars again. Which is good. Yeah, so you know, I've kind of adapted my riding style a little bit. He says taking his hand off the bars, but you know, this is fine, sort of coasting. I'm not actually touching the throttle as such. Yeah, so that's not been great. Like I say, I'm just getting a lot more busy on the clutch these days, and certainly, you know, if I'm going in traffic, round a corner, 90 degrees, you know, T-junction or something, from traffic lights, there's cars just in front of me, etc., I will generally coast that corner with the clutch in, which again is probably not best practice, but it just takes the power of this bike away from it makes it impossible for the bike to embarrass me. It doesn't unsettle the bike with a big jolt right halfway around a corner, which is always a little bit, it's not what you want, is it? So yeah, I think again, I'm no expert, but I do believe that the way we fuel these bikes is something to do with getting around Euro 5 emissions regulations, and I don't know the technical ins and outs of it. There's plenty of people talking about it on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find. But I do believe that a remap can sort it out, and you can smooth that power curve out completely and make it so it's not quite so on-off in those sort of lower regions, which it's not giving you loads of power. It's just, you're just smoothing that power delivery out. The only downside to starting messing around with ECUs and stuff is that at that point in time you're starting to play Russian roulette with your warranty a little bit. So there's always the possibility of a power commander. I don't know if that would do it or not, but I don't see why not, because that does you know, that is your fueling effectively. Alright, where's this taking me? Oh, fuck off. I'm trying to get rid of this white van. He's up my arse. I think he thinks he's funny. Anyway, not to what. We're not hanging around though. He must be giving it large in his little escort van or whatever he's in, or whatever they're called these days. Caddy. Oh, I don't know. I really don't know much about vans these days. Anyway, so yeah, so those are the only two niggles I can think of really. Rest of the time, it's been amazing, loving it. Like I say, a really nice riding position. It's good for cruising. It's good for. Cool, you'd say so, wouldn't you? Where's this pothole? I take it back, Satnav sent me a stupid way again. I think it's just Satnavs in general around these parts, because certainly when you're heading into Kent there's big long ways, which the problem is, I think the thing that confuses Satnavs is that this is a 40, but a lot of these roads are 60s. But the chances of you actually doing 60 on one of these roads is fairly slim to none, because you'd be rattling your fillings out. So it just thinks, oh yeah, it's a 60. And then when it calculates everything at the speed limit, then obviously these are much quicker routes. The reality is, that's not quite right. So I think that's why it sends you down all these shit little roads, but unfortunately, they don't seem to get weeded out by the logic when you say you want A roads and you want bigger roads. You don't want narrow lanes and stuff. It doesn't seem to weed these shitty little roads out. But hey ho, I think since we've been down here, I've just been playing with the house, you see. I've not really been out and about that much, so a lot of these roads are kind of mysterious to me, so I think as I get to know them a bit more, I'll rely less and less on the sat-navs, and hopefully we'll start to regain a little bit of flow, which would be nice, wouldn't it? Right, are you turning left as well? Hard to know. Yes, you were. These are rather twisty, rather damp as well. Not too bad, to be fair. Could have worn me leathers after all. I've got some new leathers, by the way. Oh yeah, I'm getting myself ready for summer. Don't want to be wearing all this thick thermal stuff in the summer. So I've got some leathers. Got some nice leathers, actually, really nice looking. Got some really nice Arlen Ness stuff from years ago. I used to ride the R1 with it and all that sort of good stuff. My 16-year-old boy has had his eye on them because they fit him. Oh, it's frightening. He's as big as me now. And I tried them on and I breathed in a bit, and yeah, they fit and everything. Thought, yeah, this is alright, mate. But I bought one of these Tech Air Alpine Star airbag things, and yeah, it was just that leather jacket's just got nowhere for that thing to expand. It's a tight fit, just getting the thing on over the top of it. So I thought, no, that's no good. So thought, alright, I need a jacket that's, you need it to be compliant with that thing. It needs an expansion. You need room for it to expand, or at least some sort of give in it. So I thought, right, I was going down to J&S as always. So we headed to J&S. And yeah, significant amount of money later, came out with a new set of Alpine Stars leathers. They are nice. Took the airbag with me, tried it on with them and all the rest of it, and yeah, and I got some which were it does say Tech Air ready, and it's good, and it's got like a little air, like a little hump on the back like you see with a lot of this stuff, which yeah, it's not great, but I think it's there for a reason, because it's on the back of a Tech Air thing. There's like a little computer area, and I think where all the business end of it is does give you like a little bit of a racing hump regardless of what you're wearing. That sits inside the hump, so yeah, they're nice and they fit really well, but obviously they're not the most waterproof things, leathers are, they say, and it looked like it was going to rain, so I thought, no, I'm going to keep wearing my textiles. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting those on. That's an impressive house up on the hills. I don't know what the hell that is, but it looks stately, doesn't it? After the white one, there we go. The what? The Style Bridge. Very nice looking. Oh. So yes, I've been buying leathers and stuff. Thought you can't wear this stuff in the summer. Well, you can wear this in the summer, certainly if it's raining, but I imagine once this is run in and all the rest of it, I would choose not to wear this if it's raining anyway. Oh, we're going right, yeah, okay. Unsuitable for heavy goods vehicles. I've got a feeling it's going to be another one of them sort of roads. Yeah, look at this. Come on, mate, what the hell? I mean, this is the sat-nav I use with the car. You can hear the disappointment in my tone straight away. It's just like, why are you sending me down these sort of roads? There's no reason for it whatsoever. But then it does send you down some interesting roads. I was coming home from work week before, and yeah, there was just gridlock on the A21. Don't know what was going on. Oh, this is bullshit. No, I refuse. I'm turning around. I ain't doing this. I've got a feeling it's going to be like this all the way. This bike's going to be destroyed when I get there, which is not really the way I want to hand it into a dealer. You know, I went to the trouble of making this bike super clean. Oh. So what else have we got to talk about? Yeah, modifications. Done a few little bits and bobs on this bike. So got new grips. Just trying to put my own stamp on it a little bit. They don't do much, but I quite like the look of them. Bar end mirrors, obviously, with some lever protectors on the brake and the clutch. I'm not sure you need it for a clutch, but hey ho, it makes the bike look a bit more symmetrical. I've been playing around with these. That is the basically I've had two different screens on it, and I'm still undecided which one I like the best. I've got this one on it, which is the OEM short screen, and before that I had the even smaller fly screen on it in black though. And yeah, I took this bike down the M20 at sort of motorway speeds, not, again, you know, legal motorway speeds, not YouTube sports bike motorway speeds. So yeah, so it was I'm not going up there because you can't see. Yeah, I've noticed you generally get the wind pressure across the top of your shoulders and hitting your head, but mainly across the top of your shoulders. It gets quite noisy on inside the old helmet. I thought the short screen might do a little bit. I don't want a big touring screen on it, so you know, I'm hoping not to be doing too much in the way of motorway work. In fact, hardly anything. So, does it matter? Probably not. Yeah, this is a better road. So yeah, so I think there's a power bronze screen which I quite like the look of, but I might try that at some point, but I spent enough money this last few days, weeks, whatever, so I might have to wait for a little bit. So at the moment I've got short screen. I quite like the look of that. I didn't think I would, but my jury's out. I'm not sure if I'm going back to the fly screen or not. We'll see. It only take 2 minutes to swap over anyway. Other mods, just sliders really. I've got axle sliders front and rear from Evotech. I've got crash bobbins on them from R&G. I've ordered the engine case protectors from R&G Racing, because Bennett's Social are doing a deal. They've got a discount code, 15% off engine sliders. Seem reasonable, so I got those. They should be arriving soon. I've asked, like I say, it's going for its 600 mile service, and I've asked the dealer to get hold of a Yamaha OEM QuickShifter, because you may or may not know, these bikes, certainly with 2023, I don't know about other models, they are QuickShifter ready. So it looks pretty much like it should be a plug and play kind of deal. But I've noticed that the OEM QuickShifters, whenever you go on the accessories page, are generally out of stock. It's certainly that way when I bought the bike. And I checked again just before I phoned up Oakley Motorcycles to book it in for its service, and they were available, which was a win. So I said, can you get hold of one of them please, because I'd like one, thank you very much. They're not super expensive, about 180 quid. Maybe, yeah, 184, something like that. So I thought, well, I might as well try a QuickShifter. It'll be a new experience. There's no such thing as auto blippers and all that sort of stuff on this, so it's literally just as you're going up through the gears. So yeah, we'll try that. I won't know until I get there in a bit whether they have managed to get hold of one or not. So hopefully they have. Other mods considering, usual stuff, exhaust, rear shock, maybe fork internals. The one thing I'll probably do myself, which might come before all that, is I quite like to change the levers for something a little bit more blingy. The other reason being that obviously I can you can adjust the span on the brake lever on this. You can't adjust the span on the clutch, so you kind of, so you got to have it wide, whereas you know, on the right, no idea what this is going to be like. Let's try it. Unsuitable for diverted traffic. That doesn't sound amazing, does it? Let's try it. There's cars coming down here, so I'll suggest it's not as bad as that last one. Yeah, so done a few mods, maybe do a few more. Been looking at some carbon bits. The carbon company I was looking at was getting a few mixed reviews, so it put me off a little bit. I think that'll be the last thing I do. I think I've come to the conclusion that anything I do to the bike from now on has to have some sort of, it's got to impact the actual experience on the bike, not just look blingy. So, you know, adjusting your levers in is, you know, it's one of the things you interact with constantly whilst you're riding a bike. It's a big deal, isn't it? You know, if you, yeah, suspension. Let's talk about suspension. So the standard suspension for me feels alright. I've not pushed the bike ridiculously fast. I doubt I'll ever get this bike to the point where I'm going to be going, ooh, it needs something of this. You know, I know a lot of people like to be connoisseurs of suspension, and I'm taking nothing away from them. Perhaps they can tell. Unless it's particularly bad for me. I don't know. He says it in a bump and groaning. But yeah, I don't know, mate. It's like, I'm 6'2", so the bike's the right size for me. I'm about 90-ish, maybe 95 kilos, something like that, which probably puts me in maybe slightly heavier, but average-ish weight bracket for most people who are riding these things, unless you're a teenager, at which point I'm sure you felt probably be a little bit lighter. But yeah, so I think my weight is probably not far off what Yamaha engineers have set this bike up for. So I think because of all that, it's not it's not horrible. It feels fine to me. It feels absolutely fine, in fact. Having said that, on my ZXR 750 back in the day, which I spent an absolute ridiculous amount of money on, I got a custom shock made for that from Maidstone, and yeah, it made a difference. So I've been looking at Maidstone again, and where the hell am I? Threading through this lot. I think I'm not a million miles away from this place by the looks of it. I bet my wife's beat me there. I bet you she has. Right, nearly didn't see you. Too busy looking at what looks like a camera van. Don't think it is though. So yeah, I'm looking at the K-Tech do them, you buy them built to your weight, and they come in different shapes and sizes depending on how much you want to spend. So maybe one of them, who knows, because that's off the shelf and it's probably about as custom as I need it to be. And again, I've noticed that you can get like Öhlins fork internals for these forks. And you can buy springs based on your weight and all this sort of good shit, so that might be worth it at some point, but I'd have to be very right, I'm around here somewhere, so yeah, so I'd have to be flush to want to do those sort of mods, which I'm not at the moment. So we'll see. Right, looking for Oakley Motorcycles. This brings me into a postcode range, so hopefully I'm going to be kind of there. There was another motorbike behind me a minute ago, and I thought he was going to be following me in. Very nice Ferrari, which was giving me a bit of confidence. However, is it really? There it is. Let's go here. Hey, Oakley Motorcycles. Oh, he didn't fuck it up, I did. He's on an MT-07 as well. Thank you. Right then, so the bike goes in and hopefully comes out serviced and with a quick shifter. Catch you next time. Nice one.